A wildfire burning in eastern Oregon along the Idaho border has grown to 50,000 acres in its first day. Crews worked through the night to try and contain the Willowcreek Fire. They've had a hard time making progress. The first reports came out around 7 last night. It quickly scorched 15,000 acres. It nearly tripled by this morning. No homes or buildings are threatened at this point.
So to give you a better idea of where this is, it's about 7 hours from Portland and just about an hour and a half northwest of Boise, Idaho. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Deborah Knapp.
And I'm Rick Asway. You might be asking why you should care about a fire on the east side of Oregon if you live on the west side. The response to a fire pulls resources from all over the region. That's why. Most fires also cost the state millions of dollars, not to mention the threat of smoky skies drifting our way.
We are on your side with team coverage of fire season. Dave Selesky will explain the weather on the east side of the state. But
first, Katu's Christina Giardinelli talked to Oregon fire officials about how they're preparing for things to ramp up. Christina, what kind of resources are being deployed to the Willowcreek Fire, and will that impact our area?
You know, right, the biggest impact right now is going to be that this fire is kicking off Oregon's wildfire season. Now, in terms of resources, this is actually right now burning on federal land. So the Bureau of Land Management, along with local crews out there in eastern Oregon, are who's tackling this fire that we just talked about. And that really leaves Oregon crews available to tackle any other fires that might come up on state lands. Even though we don't have Oregon crews at that fire right now, the Oregon Department of Forestry tells me the fire is impacting some of the decisions they'll make when it comes to resources. Jessica Prakke, a spokesperson for ODF, says crews were already coming home, but the eastern Oregon fire means they'll likely stay put here in Oregon now.
It has triggered that we probably won't be sending out any other crews out of state because we can see it starting to pick up. As everything else, we'll assess anything as it comes. But right now, we're happy to have our firefighters back.
She tells me crews previously dispatched to Texas and New Mexico got some hands-on experience with different types of terrain. That will be helpful for them going into the wildfire season here in Oregon, where terrain can provide a formidable challenge when fighting flames. And of course, with the 4th of July around the corner, officials also telling me, let all Oregonians know that they really need to be careful with those fireworks. So of course, being on the pavement is the safest place if you are lighting up, and then having a bucket ready in case anything does happen, and then soaking those fireworks in that bucket once you are done with them.
Summer is here, which means wildfire season is as well. And if you normally work outside, OSHA wants you to remember these important rules. The newly adopted smoke rules involve requiring employers to perform an exposure assessment, provide information to employers, create and maintain training, provide communication to employees, and implement methods of exposure control. This is something the safety manager with the city of Eugene understands, especially after the Holiday Farm fire.
Which basically means when the fine particulate matter in the air, because of wildfire smoke, reaches a certain density in the air. Where feasible, supervisors will schedule outdoor work on different days when the air quality is projected to be better. But we also make filtering face piece respirators available to employees.
And if not smoke, there's heat to watch out for while working outside. OSHA's heat rules for outdoor workers went into effect June 15th.
When the temperatures are higher, we've always implemented safety measures such as taking frequent breaks and, making sure staff are hydrated. So with the new rules, we basically just structured it around the rule.
Even for law enforcement, officers are known to wear the heavy gear and equipment. They will also make adjustments during those extreme temperatures.
Over the traditional undershirt type of vest is that with these external carriers, when we have a deputy that is going to be writing reports or in a position, where they're outside of the public's eye, for a lunch break or whatever reason, they can take that vest off to cool off for a little while.
The drug epidemic in this country predates the decriminalization of drug possession in Oregon by many, many decades.
But are the relaxed laws on drugs contributing to an increased homeless crisis? In the fall of 2020, Oregon voters made the decision to decriminalize small amounts of hard drugs. So the question is, has that change impacted the homeless crisis? K2's Kelly Azer has that story tonight.
Sights like these are not uncommon across Portland. Homeless lining sidewalks, using drugs. 2 years ago in Oregon, voters decided to decriminalize small amounts of hard drugs in hopes of helping the growing crisis.
There's not really one magic silver bullet to solve this epidemic.
Casey Anderson works for the Alano Club of Portland. They work with those battling addiction, including some living on the streets.
So Oregon ranks second in the nation in substance use. It ranks last in the nation in availability of treatment and resources for people experiencing substance use disorders.
He says Portland is missing the mark.
I don't think that the issue is that it's been decriminalized. I think that the issue is that there just are not enough services available to meet the needs of those who are experiencing substance use and mental health disorders in Portland.
The Department of Justice studied the decriminalization of drugs and found the U.S. spends $100 billion a year on programs combating drugs, $35 billion a year on drug enforcement. But with decriminalization, the country stands to save anywhere from $50 to $150 billion a year. That could be turned into money for resources. And resources, according to Anderson, are what will really make the difference.
We have tried in this state, in this country, criminalizing addiction for years and decades, and the results have not been great. So it is well worth trying to treat it as a public health situation.